viewers, and welcome to a show report for the recent EAG arcade show which took place in London. And you can see here some of the different games that were being shown. Of course, we have Giant Pac-Man, which was being shown this year. Looked pretty cool on the screen. I have to admit, the screen was a lot brighter in person than it actually looks here. Pretty bright for your eyes. It's not something I'd want to play for a long time, but it was pretty cool seeing Pac-Man on this giant screen. There was a two-player option. I don't know if that was a turn-based one, sort of classic Pac-Man style, or whether you could have two people on the same screen. Certainly it could support it, a screen that size. But it was a lot of fun to see people still playing the classic Pac-Man. Indeed, I enjoyed Pac-Man DX a lot on the Xbox 360. Big new title of the show was MotoGP. We're going to look at that later in this video and in a separate video as well. And that's the big new title this year. It wasn't a great deal of new stuff at the show, but there was this which people were picking up very quickly. We'll see why when we take a closer look at the gameplay. And there is also the Star Wars we'll look at later in the video. Time Crisis 5 released last year, but still people enjoying it. And games for the kids as well. Super big rig here for kids to play. All shapes and sizes. And you know, we have here Storm Racer. We played the original Storm Racer G, didn't we, last year? And of course they had the bike version this year. I didn't play it. I've been a bit unwell, but so I wasn't able to play it. But I wanted to at least film some of it there. Of course, Sonic is back. Sega using a bit of Sonic branding on their stand. There's nothing really that reminds me of the old Sega machines, but there's the Sonic Dash machine there, and of course the Sonic and Mario Rio Olympics machine. Basically you sort of step up and down very quickly to run quickly, or I guess there are other events in there that you do. It's fun, it's a lot of colour, it's pretty basic. It's to get people being more active, I guess, when they play their games. And again, machines that look really nice. You know, I'm sure they'll appeal to kids, but it's nothing like, say, the old Sega machines of old. You've had Dirt Showdown here. We saw it last year on the big cabs. They have the new small cab version this year, and on the stand elsewhere, Sonic toys, and of course the big cabinet which we were looking at last year as well. An arcade machine that's essentially very limited, much like the game itself. Not a lot to it, but a very nice, impressive cab. And of course, it's good to see Sega still using the Sonic brand. It's pretty much the only thing that harks back to Sega we know and love from years ago. And just everything there, Sonic cars. There you go. There's your link. And Time Crisis 4. People loving Time Crisis 4. You know, people can't get enough of Time Crisis. Plus, Overtake. Played that last year. Pretty dull, really. Really didn't have much to it. Graphically wasn't great. And of course you've got Mario Kart, which we played last year. This time with smaller screens, obviously to be cheaper. Fast and Furious, which is rubbish. We've seen that years ago. And of course around that side here you had Need for Speed Carbon, which is also rubbish, which we've seen in the past. We've also got plushies, lots of plushies on display. You've got Batman and Superman this year as the big thing, you can see there. And they've got Wonder Woman as well, keeping them both company. Isn't that nice? Don't they look happy? And you've got lots of other redemption toys here in terms of the Star Wars stuff, which was cool. You always see very cool redemption toys that you don't see in shops anywhere else quite often. So I always like to have a look at the redemption section there. You can see the old classic Superman art, which was actually in my first ever Superman comic I got once, many years ago. I was about 3 years old, I think I was. And Wonder Woman as well. Elsewhere you've got more plushies. More plushies in terms of Yodas and Stormtroopers, which all look pretty cool, and you've got Mario and Donkey Kong, all looking pretty cool as well. There he is. So walking around the show, the show was, you know, there were a few games, but unfortunately, again, like all these shows, you just gradually see encroaching gambling machines and redemption machines. Redemption machines have been there a lot, but the gambling's gradually encroaching again, even on this show. And this show was meant to be breaking it away from the other gambling show which takes place in London at around the same time. So, but either way, there were lots of other bits and pieces on display. And of course, nice to see, you know, like say brands such as Pac-Man being used more as well. And of course, Sega Rally 3 Classic still there on display. Just people like the old games. people even paying to play it. And then we had Star Wars, of course. They've got the new co-op play now, so, and they've also added a cockpit cam to it as well. Not nearly as impressive as it was on the big, screen that we showed last year, but either way, pretty cool to see. And then we see a bit of Star Wars action. Needs the big screen experience there, but it, ultimately in the Orbs cabinet, it gives it so much more than it does there. But you can see the cockpit in action. It'll be interesting to see how the co-op play worked. I wasn't able to test it at the time, but certainly something I'd like to see at some point, of where people playing it and seem to be enjoying it. Obviously Star Wars is all the rage now since the new film came out. I enjoyed making the video last year of the Orbs cabinet, which was also on display elsewhere at the show. Flying into the trench. Still looks super cool even now. Be great to see what new games and add-ons that come out relating to the new movie as well. Keep an eye on that, because I like my Star Wars. I've been playing Star Wars Battlefront, of course. And of course the big thing of this video is going to be MotoGP. MotoGP then is the big new game of the show on display. Namco Bandai, or Bandai Namco should I say, are displaying it here, and I'll be playing that in the next video which comes up. Presentation wise, it's all there. It's actually really tricky trying to select a track. You just lean the bike from side to side and sort of goes through all of them very quickly, so it's not like I could easily select a bike I wanted to use. But either way, interesting to see bike games coming back to the arcades, though I have to admit quite limited, and these will be a link up session which I'll be racing as me with my GoPro, just sort of my GoPro out my head. Look at that. Lovely. There's a nice little biker picture there for you all as well. So that's it for this video. So in the next video we'll be looking a bit more at MotoGP. I'll be just giving you the full session on it really, and explaining my impressions on it so far. But I will say this, it's no Manx TT, put it that way. More cyber cycles, less Manx TT. It's not demanding, but it is a nice looking machine. It is interesting to see the sports brand on a big new machine like this. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon.